Hello and welcome to the Honey Badger. I am Dr. Nefertiti at Fox, Dave Fandidio, but you can just call me Neff. And today we're going to talk about demons, what I believe that they actually are, and why it is we shouldn't be afraid of them. So, I have here, it's called the Dictionary of Demons. This is the 10th edition. This was written by M. Bellinger. Sorry for mispronouncing that if I did, but this is the names of the damned. So this is literally a book filled to the brim with information, but of course it's got all of the names here of every demon around the world that this individual could find information on. So I actually really like this book. Now, of course, if you're someone that doesn't want to deal with anything regarding demons, totally understand. However, also want you to understand, just because I possess this book, I have never once had to deal with demonic beings. So it's not gonna attract anything is what I'm trying to say. But the really cool thing about this particular dictionary that I absolutely love so much is that they went and looked up as much information as humanly possible in all different religions all around the world, all different cultures, to get the names, but also the history behind them and where they come from. So each demon that is in here kind of explains basically what they are, or what they were believed to be, their ranking in their dimension, their hellish dimension, right? And basically what you can call upon them for. And the reason I say that demons are not inherently evil beings is because a lot of the demons that are actually in this dictionary are just natural phenomena. So we have to remind ourselves that things were considered demonic or demons or harmful entities because we didn't have an explanation for what certain things were. So like some of these they caused earthquakes or bad weather or illness, bad luck, things like that. But that's not a demon. That's nothing demonic, you know what I mean? But it is just something that cultures have put a name to so that they could deal with it in a manner that made sense to them. So again, a lot of these things that are in here, they're not evil beings. They're just natural phenomena that happen. Of course, now we have scientific evidence of these things like earthquakes and illness and all that fun stuff. So yeah, it's really interesting to actually go through these and read about them. There are thousands of them. I really love it. So I am very fascinated by all of the negative, dark, shadowy things. Because again, what are they really? What are they actually? So to me, in fact, if you watched my video on denial, I mentioned it a little bit. To me, demons, or just evil spirits or whatever, they're the greatest teachers that you could ever have. They possess lessons, if you will, that will bring you the most wisdom, the deepest wisdom that you will ever obtain in your life. And they teach you a lot about yourself, by the way. So if you find yourself attracting such things, it's not because the demon found you, it's because of your own energy that's attracting such a thing. And it's, in my opinion, there to show you your shadow self. So that shadow archetype and what it is energetically. And so if we are attracting those things, like, okay, what is it about me that's attracting it and how can I change that? So it's just, yeah, I can go so deep into it, I guess, but you can learn things such as how to change a pessimistic point of view into an optimistic one instead. Trust me, I've been pessimistic. It still hangs around, to be honest. I haven't gotten rid of it entirely. But because of that pessimism, I always attracted bad things. Like bad situations, friends that weren't really friends, or people that didn't stay very long, or just put myself in situations that really hurt me mentally and emotionally and financially. So I was attracting all of those things, but they're not inherently demonic, right? But it can feel that way. You feel cursed, if that makes sense. But if you switch to a more optimistic state of mind where it's like, okay, this emotion that feels heavy, that feels gross, is trying to teach me some things. Like, what can I learn from this? So instead of, these things always happen to me, you can take them and try to find the goodness in those things. But also something that I really want you to understand too is that if you actually do come across a very heavy entity, one that terrifies you, I want you to remember, and I actually got this from Sean Collins' book, actually, and it helped it make more sense to me, that everything in the world all comes from one source. Even the heavy demonic things, they all come from the same source, and it's that God source, right? We all come from that. Everything comes from one single source. That's why we always say, like, we're all one, because we all come from the same thing. We're all different, sure, and we all experience life differently. Animals, plants, all of that, just nature in general, all still comes from the same thing, right? So we're all one. But that also includes what we consider to be demons or demonic, all the negative shadow stuff. It all comes from the same thing. And basically what that means is that they don't have any more power over you than you do of them. But they feed off of your fear, right? So technically it's kind of unspoken, if you will, that there's rules to the spirit realm, that the spirits need permission from you to intervene in your life or interact with you. But when you are in such a negative headspace, or you kind of live your life in fear, they feed off of that, and it's kind of like a skewed form to them of permission to mess with you. So if you don't allow that, and you remember that you are of the same source as this, it can't harm you. If you stay as calm as I am right now, and you tell it, what are you here for? Why are you here? Or just tell it, you can leave. I don't want you here. You're not welcome. But you stand your ground in that. Because not only are you standing your ground against this thing, but you're standing your ground with yourself as well. You're allowing yourself the permission to have confidence with who it is that you are, knowing that you are a divine being, just as this thing is a divine being. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. It's like, oh, these things are not divine, these things are demonic, they're satanic, blah, 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 blah. But they are divine beings. Sorry. So, I encourage you to release your fear of these things and actually get this book. Again, it's just the Dictionary of Demons. 10th edition is what I have, or 10th anniversary edition is the one that I have. I don't think that there's a newer one. And literally just read about all of the history of these things, because it is quite interesting. Or even just dive into the cultural significance of what those things are, because I can guarantee you that they're also going to tell you what the lessons are, especially like within story. So if you go look at cultural stories from all around the world, all of these trials and tribulations that individuals have had to go through. I mean, Hercules, for instance, was one of them, right? He had to fight all of these monsters, right? Or even the Odyssey with Odysseus, he had to go through all of these trials and tribulations with all of these monsters and things. But there is a lesson to be learned from that entire story. There's a purpose to telling that story. There's wisdom within it. So there's wisdom within all of these stories and all of these encounters with demonic things, or what we consider demonic. So it's actually really worth looking into, because when you release yourself of fear, nothing can control you other than yourself. You have full control over your mind, you have full control over your emotions, you have full control over what happens around you to an extent, right? You allow yourself to have boundaries, and you're able to stick to them because, again, you have more knowledge and wisdom after looking into all of these things than you did beforehand. I know that in certain religions that they throw a lot of things at you to be fearful of a bunch of things, to be fearful of Satan or the devil or Lucifer or whatever. But when you actually understand what those beings are, you discover that they're not evil at all, actually. So it's worth looking into. You're not going to attract anything that is harmful or, again, demonic or whatever, simply just by reading about things. You're just not. You're just not, because you're going into it with curiosity, not fear. That's kind of the key, to go into something with curiosity and not fear. So I highly, highly encourage that you look into these things. In fact, if you watched one of my previous videos when I was talking about this entity that showed up in a meditation that looked very African, it almost looked demonic, to be honest with you, just based off of the way it looked. But again, because I'm in such a different space, I'm more in curiosity than fear, it didn't do anything to me. It hasn't hung around or any such thing like that. But I am curious to go back and see what it is that it actually is, and what I can learn from it. So dive a little bit deeper into the shadow realms. There's a lot of things to learn, and you're going to see the world in a much different way. It's just not going to look the same to you. You're going to start to understand why certain things happen. All of the stuff that's going on in the world right now, you're going to start understanding what it's doing. It's going to be frustrating. It frustrates the crap out of me because I hate what's happening, but I also understand, like, what's happening. So, again, go be curious. Always be curious. Be careful, but be curious. You never know what you're going to discover. You never know what knowledge and wisdom you're going to come across, and you're never really certain what the world is going to look like through and after. But I can tell you right now, it's always beautiful. So with that, go be curious. Go find some cool things. Learn about it. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.